Welcome back to Of the People. Robert Chernin, of course, and...
Oh, that's my cue. Ericka Redic.
Redic.
Ericka Redic. You guys, it's been a long day. I'm tired.
It's been.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, after the show and before the alcohol. So.
So you had some really interesting folks that I think people are going to be really excited to hear the interviews with. So Tyler Boyer.
Turning Point Action USA, the largest youth grassroots conservative organization in the country, who has been doing incredible work outside the party structure. That's what people need to understand.
Yeah.
I mean, the political parties are important. I would say these days that they're less important than they used to be. You know, they're limited. There's campaign funding issues. And let's face it, parties are filled with people, and there's some politics even within all of that. And it doesn't always produce the most effective organization. So here you have Turning Point USA Action, the largest conservative youth organization in the country that is continuing to sign up members. That we have Turning Point USA Action's convention is, I think it's in November.
December.
Is it December, early December in Arizona, which we will be at as well.
America Fest.
So we talked to Tyler, sort of caught up with what they were doing. They continue to sign up members, they continue to sign up chapters, and they're really more than anything else, we're losing the battle in education, but by organizing and training and educating them through Turning Point USA and those kinds of organizations, those are the future leaders of the conservative movement, if there even is such a thing. Now, you do know that my argument is that there is no such thing as the conservative party anymore, because how can you conserve what you've already lost, right? You can restore, but you can only conserve something you haven't lost, which is a conversation you and I have had over time. But talking to Tyler was great. He was, just, again, accessible, available, and just, down to earth.
Down to earth, yeah. What did you think about Perry Johnson?
Smart guy, successful businessman. We didn't really have enough time to go into, so, he wrote a book, 2 cents to save America, but it's this 10-point action plan. And it's really focused on economics and the sort of the economic risk of the American way. That I mean, obviously, if we lose our economic engine, you lose everything else. You can't fund military, you can't fund border security, you can't fund education, those kinds of things. I thought he was, again, good guy, nice guy, very accessible. I thought he was smart, and he, again, they all wrestle, if you're not in the top tier, they're wrestling with name ID and those kinds of things. I mean, again, we'd love to talk to him a little more in depth, but really, again, a nice guy. And you don't, you see these people on TV. Until you sat in front of them, right? Until you've sat in front of them, you don't really, because, I know we live in a Zoom world, and obviously we're coming to you, via video or via, television or streaming, however you're seeing the show. But until you've sat in front of people, you got to sort of feel people, what they feel like, their energy, how accessible they are. So Perry Johnson, great guy. Would love to have a more follow-up conversation with him.
Yeah, I appreciated, I didn't really understand what you meant by retail politics before we got here. You've mentioned that term before.
Many times.
And, I've been to the America Fests and these massive conventions with, 15,000 people. But they literally, nearly everyone was just in the crowd, available, making themselves available to talk to voters, guests, constituents. They weren't just talking to us, they were talking to everyone. So it's been very intimate. You get to see these people more as themselves than these like over the top figures that are just on the TVs, And so I second what you said earlier. If you get an opportunity to come to an event like this in your state, you absolutely have to go check it out.
And Ericka, well said. So my word is distance, right? When you see people on the camera, it's one thing, but it creates a distance between the candidates. So retail politicking, we call it belly-to-belly politicking, right? You've got to get belly-to-belly with people. You've got to talk to people. And in New Hampshire, like again, I've said before, I grew up in New Jersey, and you would see the candidate, but again, it was a greeting line or it was a photo op. Here you really got to talk with them one-on-one, and even when they weren't sitting for us with an interview, they were right over there or right over there, and they were mingling, and everyone was talking, and it really was refreshing, and that's what I call retail politicking. New Hampshire demands it. The Granite Staters have come to expect it, and I will say the other thing is the people that we spoke to, who were not, let's say, the VIPs or the ones that were coming. Even the average voters or the average, they were really informed. They were really knowledgeable, and they're involved in the process. And that's really the other takeaway for me, is because words are words, right? You listen to everyone speak. Everyone is. I mean, most of them are similar and it's a little different delivery, but it's what action is propelled from that. And speaking of action, I want to talk about. So this woman that you spoke to, who was detransitioning, Katie Anderson, what a powerful, powerful interview with that. And I know because you went with her a long time in terms of the interview, we're going to show you some of it. You know, maybe the next show, I don't know when we're going to get to it, but we're going to show you pieces of that. We can't show, it was too long, but talk about it, because I was so moved listening to this. I mean, her story. I mean, you and I talk about their story of redemption. I don't even know that this would be called redemption, but the story of Savior. What is it? What is it? How do you talk to me?
You know what it is? I am getting emotional talking about it. You guys get to see me like, I am totally a crier for the record, so forgive me. The courage to stand up. You know, Benjamin and I, whenever you hear me talking, I look for every opportunity to bring up Catalyst Collective and their program called The Purpose Project, because every human being needs three things to really thrive: identity, belonging, and purpose. And what the trans ideology feeds on right now is that there are so many young people who lack identity, belonging, and purpose. You know, they're getting raised in broken homes. They're getting raised by social media, by our government-run schools, and they are lost. And they are desperately seeking a foundation or something to hold on to meaning. And to just see how our culture is currently not providing those things, but instead tearing people down.
But this, in particular, her story.
Oh my God! So she.
I mean, it's an incredible story.
It's about 10 years between when she started transitioning and today, and so she's just really been through it. She shared with me what it was like, how she felt lost, what she did to try to find herself, how they harmed her, the medical problems she's come up against from the transition, and
the transition or detransition.
The transition, and the barbarism of the people who helped her transition, and now what she's facing. And it was actually the consequences of her transition from female to male that ultimately had her detransition back to being female and realizing that her identity and belonging needed to come from her faith and her religion, her beliefs, and just how beautiful of a story and so much courage. You guys, I can't wait for you to get to hear her interview. It was so good.
Yeah, it was powerful. So look forward to talk, and maybe we can have her on, because that's independent. I mean, that's independent of politics. It obviously harkens to the woke culture and the transformation they're trying to foist or force upon society. That's for sure. But anyway, it was a really powerful interview. You're not going to want to miss it. Her name is, young woman's name is Katie Anderson. Katie Anderson.
She did say she would come on the show.
Good.
So we're definitely going to have a longer form interview with her. Yeah. Chuck Morse.
Chuck Morse. So we also got, so if you just think we were talking about presidential politics, we also got into gubernatorial politics.
Here in New Hampshire.
Because New Hampshire is having a governor's race. Governor Sununu, as the listeners all know, is not seeking re-election. Chuck Morse was kind enough to take some time with us. He is the former Senate president. He is also the chairman of the term limits.
Yes.
You okay?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
got to make sure.
I'm just choking over here.
I
on
just
my
got to
water,
make
you
sure my
guys.
co-host isn't going to die
Pay
on me.
no attention to the
anything.
man behind the curtain.
Exactly. I am Oz. Right. Oh, sorry, wrong show.
That's two Wizard of Oz references in one show.
Well, you had one. I had to have one.
Yeah.
It's okay.
All right, okay.
So, but seriously, folks, Chuck Morse came by, former Senate president. He's the chairman of U.S. term limits as well.
Yeah.
He's running for governor. There is obviously a primary for the Republican gubernatorial nominee to be the nominee. But again, seasoned veteran, cares about New Hampshire, understands the drug crisis that's going on around the country, but certainly in New Hampshire.
Yep, here in England.
And incredibly, and I think he was a prosecutor as well. So again, you're not going to want to miss that interview. We were able to spend a little bit of time with him as well. He would honestly make a good governor. Now, I don't know how the race goes, but definitely someone that you want to learn about, and we were happy to talk to him.
Well, I'm curious how he's going to handle the 50-50 legislature if he becomes governor.
Well, let's hope he has a 50-50 legislature when he is governor, or if he becomes governor.
Make
right?
sure you guys get out and vote.
Because I believe the last of those 3 races is January of 2023. Don't hold me to that.
All right.
And don't hold me to the fact that we have to go to break again.
Yeah.
No, she's not dying. We have to go to break again.
Not dying.
And we're going to be right back with the last part of telling you about New Hampshire's First in the Nation Summit, which really it was just a privilege to be here.
So much fun.
We'll be right back.